Guys, it's me again, Tara, and this time I'm going to talk to you about how my husband Anthony and I became us. And I'm going to start with the scripture, and it's Proverbs 18:24, and it says, "Friends come and friends go, but true friends stick by you like family." And that scripture, it means so much to me because Anthony and I started off as best friends. Well, friends and then best friends. Um, Strictly platonic for many, many years, and it was great. We met in college. We say we met under the bird tree. So let me tell you how that goes. So I lived in the residence hall freshman year called Bird Hall. And in front of Bird Hall, there's a tree. My roommate was meeting a guy in at the bird tree, at the tree in front of Bird, and I was with her. So I said, okay, I'll wait with you, yada yada. So these guys walk up, and I noticed one of the guys, and it was Anthony, and I'm like, hey, I know you, and he's looking at me like I'm crazy, but I knew him from a math class that we were both in. That our teacher used to yell at him every single class for like 5 or 10 minutes about how he snuck in the back door, he snuck right past her, whatever. The door doesn't even open. So I'm not even sure where she got that from, but every single class. So that's how I knew who he was, because she always made a point to yell at him about this before class commenced, basically. And so, anyways, years go by and our friend circles become good friends. Nothing ever came of our two friends together, but as a whole, his guy friends and my female friends, we all just became really good friends. And he and I became even closer in that friendship. And he was just dependable, and he was a good person to listen, and I was good for him. Like, I would listen to him. So we just kind of built a friendship off of that. And as years passed, our friends still were okay friends, but he and I were really, really good friends. Like, people knew that Tara Martin and Anthony Bailey are friends. Like, you might find them somewhere together having lunch or whatever. So, our college years, like I said, we stayed really close. Senior year, I feel like, was our very defining year for he and I think we were the absolute closest, because that was the time that he and I spent the most time together, and it was never romantic. It was always platonic. And the reason I say that so much is because Anthony and I were legitimate friends for many years. I think 12 years before we even explored being together. And the way we explored being together was very unconventional, but it was very much us. So as years pass, like, he's in relationships, I'm in relationships, we have our first children. We're there for that. Our kids grow up side by side as friends, because we were so close. So we would just take our kids to do things together. And what I appreciate about our friendship is the ease of it. When you meet somebody and you just connect with them, it's easy to be their friend. And that's how it was for Anthony and I. And I think that God definitely had a plan for us. Like, he kept us on even playing field as far as friendship is concerned. Like, I don't want to say ahead of myself, but I never was like, oh, I got to marry Anthony. And I don't believe Anthony ever thought that way about me. We would get questioned all the time because a lot of people didn't understand our friendship, and like, they just didn't get how an adult male and an adult female could be friends and not ever cross the line. And we never did. It wasn't even a thought for us. And I just think that was all in God's plan for us to just grow up alongside each other and become really good friends. We went through a lot of similar things. Like, I split from my child's father. That was a hard time for me. And like months later, the same thing happened for him. And so we just were there for each other. We were each other's support. and sounding board all the time. It was never, we never judged each other. It was a free from judge zone, and that was great for me. And this scripture kind of comes to mind, Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And that's where we were. As we grew in life, beside each other, we were sharpening each other. And what we didn't know is we were like preparing each other to be together, unbeknownst to us. And so years pass by and we're just still great friends. And then one day, Anthony says to me, what do you think about, he wasn't in a relationship and I wasn't in a relationship, so that's my disclaimer. What do you think about you and I being together? And the question kind of caught me off guard a little bit because, like I said, I had never thought that way. And he's like, we make a good team. And I was like, yeah, we do. Like, we genuinely work well together. And we figured that out in college. Even after college, we would do little events together. We would go feed the homeless together. Just he and I. Just things that we like to do, we would do together. And it worked well. It was always easy. We have gone on trips together as friends, going to museums, just doing things that friends do, and never looking at each other any type of way. But when we got to a certain point in our life, he started looking at things a little different. And he posed that question to me, and I knew in that moment that he was calling me up not to be his girlfriend, but I needed to be prepared to be a wife at that point. And so what I did is we had a very candid, lighthearted conversation about what he had just said. And I went and I didn't answer him. I'm like, I need time. And he understood. And I took my time. Because like I said, I knew entering into this new phase of friendship for us was different, because he wasn't needing a girlfriend. He was calling out a wife, and I knew that, even though that's not what he said. So I prayed a lot about it. I wanted to be ready. So this wasn't about him, if this makes sense. This was about me, who I was. Was I ready? Am I prepared? Like, these are all the things going through my head, because I knew that I was being called to something greater at this point. And so I spent a lot of time just praying and speaking to God about the next steps for he and I. And finally, I know it must have felt like forever for him, I finally said, you know what? You're right. I think we should give this a try. And a try is what we did. And here we are, married now. But what we did is we would have conversations about expectation right off the bat. Attraction. That was another thing, because like I said, he and I were such good friends that we had never ventured down the attraction road. So we had to think about it, like, am I even attracted to this person? What does that look like for us? Like, we had never even really hugged a lot. When we got together, we were just together. Like, hey, let's go here, let's go there. So there were things that people already kind of have established a little bit when there's already, like, when you come together through attraction versus when you've just grown up. From college to now as friends, there were things that we had to explore. So those uncomfortable conversations, we had them very open, very candid, and I appreciate that about us. And it's funny because we had made a pact years ago, like, if we're not married by 30, we might as well get married. But I'm thinking these are all like jokes. Like, we had so much fun with it because we were younger, maybe like 23, 24. I'm like, listen, if I'm not married by 30 and you're not married by 30, we should just get married together. And we're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And we go on with life. So now we're almost at 30 and we're having this very open, honest conversation about what life may be like if we decide to do life together. And one thing that Anthony said to me that he appreciated about me was I didn't just care about him. I cared about who he was on the inside. I cared about his spiritual man. And I did. It was very important to me that Anthony, even as my friend, was good spiritually. You know, I prayed for his spirit man, who he was in the kingdom. And he hadn't experienced that from anyone at all. And that's when we kind of developed a relationship, of a spiritual relationship together, like kind of just growing together and figuring out things together. I had started my journey of just my relationship with Christ. So I was a little further in it than he was, but it was fine because he wanted it too. And that was encouraging to me, that he wanted relationship with Christ as well. And that was important. So we decided that we were going to, be together, and life things started happening. So we decided to get married very quickly. It was important to me that I be married when I live in a home with a man again, because I had lived with my child's father, and I just didn't want to do that again. It didn't work. It didn't work out. And so we planned a wedding in weeks. We got that thing together. It was a small wedding. It was perfect. The people who were supposed to be there were there. The people that we loved and wanted to be there couldn't make it, but their heart was there. And it was a great experience. And there's another scripture that comes to mind, and it's Proverbs 18:22, and it says, "Find a good spouse, you will find a good life, and even more the favor of God." And we truly live in the favor of God. We came together. We were both 30 when we got married. And it has been an amazing journey. Amazing journey. Friendship is the way to go. Because at the end of the day, when your spouse gets on your nerves, if they are truly your friend, you can get through it. And since he and I had so many years of friendship, we knew each other so well. We know each other so well. And we're still growing. Now we're growing together. It looks a little different because we're married. But the friendship, that foundation, no one can take away from us. We use this analogy, which is basically in our friendship, we were building a home. And we laid the foundation with our friendship of loyalty, love, respect, courtesy, just the common things that you have. And as years progressed in our friendship, we just started moving furniture into our home. And when we decided to take it to the next level and become one, we moved into a fully furnished home. It was perfect for us. And I think that analogy is perfect for our relationship. We really built a very strong foundation that now is our fully furnished home. And we're so blessed to be in this spot. I'm going to leave you with this. Once again, Proverbs 18:22. Find a good spouse, you find a good life, and even more, the favor of God. I'm so thankful that I'm living in the favor of God with my favorite person.